Building a big back. So a big back is generally a sign of strength. It's one of the few muscle groups that conveys it, without the use of words. Especially, when you have traps there to cap it all off, and it just ties nicely into the delts as well. So I'm going to keep this video really simple and basic, so you know what to do. In terms of overall back development, a few good staples are simply pull-ups and then deadlifts. Now, with deadlifts, a lot of people, they have a love-hate relationship with them. Some people can do them really well and experience a lot of growth in their back, and other people tend to hurt their lower back. So, it's sort of one camp or the other. If you're just deadlifting a moderate amount of weight and just playing around, with how it feels, really concentrating on the mind-muscle connection, it will pay off. The other big staple for me is simply pull-ups. I only deadlift in a competition block, like a powerlifting competition block, when I have a comp coming up. Otherwise, the rest of the time, I'm just mucking around doing a whole lot of pull-ups. Shrugs have reintroduced, into my program again in quite a big way, because I've got, a competition towards the end of the year. But pull-ups will hit the vast majority of your back. Look at any calisthenics athlete, and you'll see that they'll have really, really good back development. They'll have very poor leg development generally, and they don't deadlift. They just play around a lot with pull-ups and mucking around on the rings. So it does leave cues. So yeah, look, shrugs for me, they carry across onto the bench press. It also helps to fill out that upper back area that's not going to get as worked when you're doing your, pull-ups. Now, when it comes to pull-ups, you can do chin-ups, but I just find, the pull-up will hit more of your back in general, as opposed to, just a general, chin-up. A general chin-up should, in theory, hit lats a lot more thoroughly. You're just closer into the body, and you use a lot more bicep on that movement as well. But I prefer just general pull-ups. Then after that, mucking around with shrugs. Those two movements alone will give most people a really good back. Throw in, as I said, some moderate deadlifts, or if you want some bent over, rows or dumbbell rows, and you're going to end up with, a physique that looks quite strong. For me, I don't do much in the way of rows because I muck around a lot with the stone squats. A few of you guys see me do it, and, I'll chase much higher reps. Now, with stone squats or anything like that, where you're holding a weight into your body, your back has to work very hard isometrically. And it's sort of that strong isometric contraction, time under tension for a prolonged period of time, that does deliver, results. And for me, when I'm bracing and getting tight for my lifts in powerlifting, being statically strong in that area is going to, help me with my lifts. So, a lot of what I do, yes, it's power building to a great extent, but, the hidden agenda is everything I do needs to have a carry over to my powerlifting. Because at the end of the day, yes, I'm a powerlifter, train a fair bit of like strongman sort of stuff. You can see here I'm doing walks, just carries, farmers walks. Again, the back has to work very hard isometrically, and same with the traps. And this is, the stone carry that I was talking about. You pull the weight in close to the body, you hold it, and yeah, your back just goes into overdrive. A lot of the time you're being pulled forward, so you have to try and lean slightly back to counterweight yourself. But yeah, very good, at developing the back isometrically. And it works, the back in a way that, is very unique, and you're not just going to get that in a traditional, gym setting. So mucking around with some of the strongman implements is going to give you an edge in terms of what your physique looks like at the end of the day. And you get that, thick density look as well. And, a lot of individuals will lack that when it comes to their training. The other one, and a lot of people wouldn't have picked this for back development exercise is the one arm overhead press. Now, yes, it's hitting my delts and triceps. They're the main things that are working. But if you look at my back, it has to work, very hard isometrically to stabilize. The erectors have gone into overdrive. My upper back, and traps need to stabilize my scapula. There's quite a lot going on here from, an isometric standpoint that is going to have carry over, to developing a big back. And, time under tension for some people is a proven method that does work really well. And for other people, it's just volume. So, getting a mixture of, volume and time under tension will go a very long way. Now, when I say volume, I'm talking, quite a lot of reps and quite a lot of sets to bring up the total volume, the amount of times, you're contracting a muscle versus, time under tension, you might only do a few reps, but you're doing them very slow, controlled and deliberately, and you're bringing up the total amount of time that muscle was working. So, if you knocked out a set of, 15 reps, say in a minute, versus you only did 5 reps and they were slow and controlled and took a minute, you're still getting the same amount of time under tension. But the time under tension for the 5 reps you're going to find is a lot more taxing than the traditional 15 reps, and that's just due to, when you're contracting a muscle isometrically, it's not the most efficient way in terms of energy expenditure. It's actually, a fair bit higher and can feel, quite taxing, and just, being locked into that one position, you become very strong, in that area or range of motion, as well as I think it is 15 degrees either side of it. So look, one arm overhead press, again isometrically working my upper back very thoroughly. When it comes to other strongman events that you can do to help build a big upper back, muck around with the sandbags. They're very similar in many aspects to just the carries with a stone. Atlas stones go a very long way, any of the natural stone lifting and any variation of deadlift. Now, if you're deadlifting, you got to think, are you deadlifting using a lot more of your legs or a lot more of your back? If it's going to, if you're trying to grow a bigger back, I'd suggest going more with a moderate weight and really feeling your way through the movement. Because that's how you're going to gain the most amount of mass. You're going to have that time under tension. And you're not going to try time under tension with a very heavy weight on a deadlift because it's just going to hurt your back. The risk-reward ratio really is not there at all. Versus, say, for instance, if you're doing stiff-legged deadlifts and you're trying to work your lower back and you're doing, 20 reps with a light weight and you're being slow and controlled with it, you're definitely going to feel it in, the musculature. But because the weight is so much lighter in comparison, the chances of actually damaging, a disc or another structure in your body is very low. And some people, they might go really high rep on the pull-ups first and then progress to another exercise, like, deadlifts in general or bent over rows, so you're already pre-fatigued. And this was just another one, strongman tire flips, full body movement. A lot of back is involved, puts it in another unique position that's sort of unique to this movement. But look, getting a strong back and a big back just comes from, working various angles as well. So that's it really. Work on your pull-ups, throw in some heavy rows and muck around with some strongman events, and you're pretty much set. So hit like and subscribe.